For the basics on how defined benefit pensions are funded, we encourage you to watch our Understanding Defined Benefit Pensions overview before watching this video. In this video, we will focus on understanding the investment return assumption, smoothing, and how these factors impact pension funding. A defined benefit plan is funded by employer contributions, participant contributions, and investment earnings. Investment earnings make up more than half of the funding, which is why MERS reviews this assumption as well as all of our assumptions every 5 years. To determine how much is required from contributions to save for the promised retirement benefits, we need to determine what investment earnings are expected to add to the fund over a long period of time. We call this estimate the investment return assumption. The larger the share of benefits being provided from investment returns, the smaller the required contributions, and vice versa. For MERS, we base our contribution formula on the assumption that investments will return an average of 7.75% over a 30-year time period. How did we arrive at the 7.75%? To determine the investment return assumption, we use an industry standard tool called a Monte Carlo calculation. It simulates 1,000 investment return scenarios into a 30-year future projection. We use 30 years because an open defined benefit plan operates over the long term. These forecasts are based on a detailed analysis of investment market performance, forward-looking trends in the economy, and MERS investment allocation. After analyzing the probabilities of projected investment data, we compare our findings with standards throughout the pension industry and determine a rate of return that we're confident of reaching over a long-term horizon. Based on investment choices over time period projected, MERS makes the investment return assumption a 7.75%. How realistic is that? Well, if we had made the assumption 30 years ago, let's see how things would have turned out. In 1987, the MERS defined benefit portfolio made 5.51%. The next year, it returned 11.2%, and then 19.1%. If we keep going and calculate an annualized investment return over 30 years, MERS shows an 8.47%. Based on our past success and expertise of our forward-facing analysis, MERS has determined that the 7.75% is a reasonable assumption to use at this time. This value, along with all our other actuarial assumptions, is revisited every 5 years in an experience study that compares predictions against real-world experience and recommends any adjustments. For municipalities that wish to explore a more conservative assumption, MERS provides a 6-year budget projection showing various rates within our annual actuarial valuation report. So how is this investment return assumption used? Well, as we've seen, contribution amounts are tied directly to the investment return assumption. Having an estimated investment return assumption that becomes the baseline for estimating contributions in order to fund pensions. Of course, we know that in some years the markets will be low, causing higher future contribution payments, and some will be high, meaning lower future contributions. To avoid dramatic spikes and dips in yearly contribution payments, MERS applies what's known as smoothing. Smoothing spreads out investment excess or shortfalls over the next 5 years so that payments remain more consistent and predictable. It does the same thing with the next year's investment return, dividing it across the following years, combined with all previous adjustments. This smoothing continues every year. It still accounts for all the losses and gains, but just spreads them out over time, reducing the fluctuation of ups and downs in the investment market. Municipalities can find the smooth rate of return in their annual actuarial valuation report under the comments of the asset smoothing section of the executive summary. For more information about these topics or other actuarial assumptions and how they work in pension funding, feel free to contact MERS of Mich at www.mersofmich.com or call our service center at 1-800-767-MERS.